as well. All right, everyone, I am coming here live tonight to do a short introduction to breathwork. So, if you don't know me, if you're new here, hello, my name's Cami. I am a life coach, a business coach, and also a breathwork facilitator. So, I wanted to make sure that I'm really talking about breathwork a lot because nobody knows until they know. It's like one of those things, I don't know, like seeing the Grand Canyon. I've never been to the Grand Canyon. So it's like trying to describe it to someone is like, how do you describe it if you've never been there? So I'm going to do my best to describe the breathwork experience and invite you in if you are on a healing or personal growth journey. So, firstly, I want to just define breathwork. So, many of you probably have done some type of breathwork. You've been to a yoga class, you've done pranayama, right? You've done some type of concentrated breathing to calm your nervous system down. That is beautiful. It's all relative. It's amazing. Do all of it. And there's a specific type of breath work I want to talk about today. It is called holotropic breathwork. Holotropic breathwork. And I'll give you the brief overview. There is a really good, I'm going to pull up here on, I found a good article on, I think it was like on Cleveland Health. And I use this one usually fairly often. Cleveland Clinic. Yeah. I use this one a lot if I'm just going to talk about it in layman's terms. But essentially, this type of breathwork was designed at a mental facility back in the 70s by Groff, MD, the Dr. Groff. And they did it for 11,000 patients to treat them without any type of medicine. And it was highly tolerated in those patients. And they were working on things like anxiety and depression. And the purpose of holotropic breathwork is to reach heightened states of consciousness. So what I'll do here is I will share my screen because why not? Or here on Facebook, we'll share it. So holotropic breathwork, it was based on psychoanalytic therapy, like talk therapy, and it focused on bringing those suppressed thoughts or feelings to the subconscious mind. So I am a fan. I'm a coach. I'm a fan of going to therapy. I'm a fan of talking and using cognitive therapy. But the thing about breath work is you don't have to talk about what you're feeling. So what they did is they created holotropic breathwork, which is an active form of breathing, which I'll show you later. And it explored how altered states of consciousness would affect traditional counseling or therapy, right? So it's kind of like when you've heard the higher mind, the higher self, when you see a spiritual perspective on things, that's what this does. So the word holotropic comes from the Greek word holos, which means whole, and trepin, which means to move in the direction of something. So the goal of holotropic breathwork is to essentially use accelerated breathing to increase awareness of the self as well as cope with traumas from the past. This allows you to access parts of your psyche that cannot be accessed during normal conditions. So this means that it is good for, can be good for as a therapeutic. And I always say this, if you have any diagnoses, you want to make sure that you are medically cleared to come to holotropic breathwork. You want to make sure if you are dealing with any of these things that you are seeing a professional. Okay, I want to say that first. But this is a great way to access these altered states for things like anxiety, depression, substance use disorder, PTSD. You want to make sure you're getting treated for that. Anxiety, negative thinking, chronic stress, tension, and any avoidance behaviors. Okay, so how does holotropic breathwork work? I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I am certified in a form of holotropic breathwork called Revelation breathwork. And what we do is we have a 45-minute breathing session, and it's essentially split up into three parts. The first part is a grounding and creating safety in the body, coming into the body, coming into the breath, bringing presence into the body, settling in. The second part is active breathing that leads up to a primal scream, which is where you let go of trapped emotion. The body might shake, it might tremble, it might get hot or it might get cold, it might vocalize in different ways because you're somatically releasing energy and emotion from the body. And the third part is the restorative part, where you are in a deep hypnotic state or an enlightened state, much like Shavasana at the end of a really good yoga session, but even deeper, And this is where your higher self, you're accessing higher self, Holy Spirit. You might be accessing things from your past that you are healing, that you're healing through. And so this final part is where you really assimilate and integrate all of the information that came through the session. And I personally found breathwork maybe 3 years ago. I was building my first six-figure year, and it was a lot. I mean, I was learning a new skill of creating six figures, of being an entrepreneur, of doing it all myself, and I was learning things like rejection, right? Like if you're going to grow a business that big, you're going to have to go through some failures and rejection and disappointment. And I found this modality to be extremely, like I say, it's the thing that kept me alive. I went to yoga every morning and then I went to breathwork once a month. And it allowed me to process such deep emotion, things from like my childhood that I just like memories that I didn't even remember. And I would go into a session and I would feel like I got the answer, I got the breakthrough, and I didn't have to talk about it with anybody. Now, we do create space for talking because there can be a really beautiful part of the breathwork experience when at the beginning or at the end, you share your experience and you share like your newfound breakthrough, your revelation. A lot of people find it helpful to share. Now, you don't have to share. I always say you can also just be an internal processor. We open up for journaling in the beginning and journaling at the end, where you can just do all of this internally and add it to your journal and have this be something that you take into your life. So I wanted to do a little bit of expectations. If you ever do come to a breathwork class, I'm going to be doing these videos a little bit more often to remind you that I have a couple of ways to try breathwork with me. So I am local in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So if you're watching this live and you're here with me live, then you can come to my classes at Blissful Alchemist. I'm currently doing them twice a month. I do them on the second Sunday of every month at 4 p.m. and the third Monday of every month at 6 p.m. So the next Monday coming up for in-person will be March 16th. And you could let me know if you'd like to come to that class. I'll get you that information. It's only $33 to come to an in-person class. I also have an online breathwork membership. This happens every second Wednesday. So it's actually coming up on March 11th. We do it at 7 p.m. Eastern. And this membership is called ResilientAF. We do one breathwork session per month. And then we do one intuitive reading, intuitive teaching, and integration session per month. It's only $47 to join us in that program, the virtual one. And for your first month, if you'd like to become a member, you'll get 50% off the first month. So what to expect for virtual is a little different than you expect for in-person. It's the same. It's just you have to have headphones and a quiet space, right? Like a quiet room to put yourself into. And some people, you know, if you've got kids, you're like, oh, my home, I can't do it at home. I've had people do breath work in their car. They just go out to their car, they recline their seat, they put their headphones in, they put their eye mask on, and they do their breathing in the car. And if you're like, I can't scream in my neighborhood, you just take a pillow and you scream into the pillow. There's also this other little thing. It's called a shoutlet. It's like 6 inches wide. You can use that. It really helps to reduce the sound whenever you're screaming. But I'll tell you, I just facilitated breath work last night. And I had a first timer there, which I always love to hear from people who it's their first time. They have the courage to come and feel their feelings. And I'll tell you, on the way to breathwork, like when you're like getting ready to do it, you might feel resistance. You might feel like, it's kind of like when you're getting ready to do like a hard workout. You're like, I don't want to do this. And also at the end, you feel so much better. You have a breakthrough. You've reached a state of enlightenment. You're so proud of yourself for showing up. And I'll tell you, people will come in with kind of like some fear or anxiety. And I always say experiencing breath work helps you deal with your day-to-day anxieties, your day-to-day fear, your day-to-day like need to control things. And so I highly recommend it for people who are high achievers, right? You're doing all the things. I call it like, this is like the high achievers healing, truly, because it's intense, right? It's not for everyone. It's not for the people who are like, they want to dip their toe in the water. This is for people who are like, I want to heal. I want to do this. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get into it. Let's go for it. And let's really go for it for this 45-minute session so that I can break through quickly, so that I can like shorten time. I've had experiences where I'm like, I went through like timelines in my life where I like healed 10 years in one lifetime. So the reason I'm so adamant about breathwork and I'll keep teaching about it is because what it has done for me. It's gotten me to those deeper layers. And the person that came last night was just like, wow, this was so profound. It like helped me to get over this like sense of me needing to control everything and this feeling of like being afraid of rejection. And she really said like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Right. So a lot of the things that we experience in life, our psychology, our ego is the part of us that's like afraid and trying to control. And when we do breath work, we tap into this higher state of consciousness that like has all the answers. It's brilliant. It's loving. It's kind. It's trusting. It like knows that everything's going to be okay. And it's really beautiful to be able to tap into that. So if you're curious about this, comment, breathe below, or send me a message that says breath work, and we'll talk about whether you want to come online or in person. I'll send you the info. But if you're curious, like what is it? How's it going to look? How's it going to sound? I'll just do a quick demonstration for you. So holotropic breathwork is open mouth breathing. We want to hyper oxygenate the body. This is what's going to create the brain chemistry that takes us into altered states of consciousness. So it's 2-part inhale, 1-part exhale. If you want to practice, you can put one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. It sounds like belly, chest, exhale, belly, chest, exhale. Here's what it looks like. Okay, that's it. That is it. We do that for about 30 minutes. Active breathing, we go into the primal scream, and then we spend about 15 minutes in the rest and relaxation phase where you integrate, where you journal, where you reflect, and where you have your breakthroughs. So comment below breath work or breathe, and I will send you the information. I would love to have you in our next session in person or virtually. I'm telling you, try it at least once. People always say, actually, the people that come to my class, they say, Mama always said, I'll try everything once. So if you're on a healing journey, you're on a personal growth journey, I highly recommend this. I've added this modality. I'm very adamant about it. And here's the thing. If you've been to a breathwork class of mine, please share this. This is a really great opportunity to share it with someone else. I'll tell you, most of my breathwork clients come from referrals because you're their friend. You've gone first, you've tried it out, and then you've invited them into it. And so I just want to say thank you to anybody who does share this, anybody who has invited people to breathwork, because it is a profound healing modality that I'm so grateful that I found. And I just said this last night. It's causing me to feel emotional. I've had so much emotional suffering in my life. I've had so much self-loathing, self-hatred, like not feeling good enough for so long. I'm 41 years old now. And I think like a lot of my suffering has led me to these modalities. It's led me to becoming a life coach. It's led me to finding breath work. And so whenever I think of like the purpose of my pain, it's like because I want to help other people in their pain. And I'll tell you something about me is I will never give up. In the pit of despair, I will keep going. And so if you are in a season of time where you're feeling like it's really hard, life is really challenging, I want to invite you into breathwork because you will find a place there where you can be with whatever is, and you know that emotionally you can handle it. And when you know that emotionally you can handle anything, this is how you develop resilience. This is how you become a leader in your own life and for others. So this is why I developed ResilientAF, my breathwork online program. And this is why I teach what I teach, because my life has not been a cakewalk. I will tell you that right now. And when you come into any of my breathwork programs, I share a lot more about my journey. I get vulnerable with you because I think that's what builds trust, is letting you know. So if you want to know more, come on in. I dropped the link in the comments here, but send me a message if you have any more questions and we could talk about it. There are a couple contraindications. Specifically, if you're pregnant, it's not recommended. There is a waiver for you to sign before. You might need to talk to your medical practitioner, right? Your doctor, to make sure you're okay, that you're cleared. But other than that, it is well tolerated by a high percentage of the population. Love to see you there. All right, send me a message and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.